Bangkok, March 2003. The morning heat already pressing down on the city like a physical weight. 12 stories above street level, Jackie Chan stands at the edge of a rooftop, looking at something that shouldn't be attempted. 4 meters of empty air. A gap that has already ended one man's career. The stunt coordinator's voice cuts through the humid air. Jackie, we need to talk about the math. But Jackie isn't listening to the math. He's listening to something else. A voice in his head that's been there since he was 8 years old, working in the Peking Opera School, learning that pain is just information. The voice that says, if it can be imagined, it can be done. What happened in the next 17 minutes would prove that voice right, and nearly prove it fatally wrong. The impossible request. 3 weeks earlier, Jackie had walked into a production meeting for his new film. The script called for a rooftop chase scene, standard action fare, the kind that gets shot on green screen with safety wires and camera tricks. The director was Australian, Mark Patterson. 2 Marvel films under his belt, a Fast and Furious sequel. He knew how to shoot action the modern way, safe, controlled, assembled in post-production. We'll shoot the chase on a soundstage, Mark explained, gesturing at the storyboards. Green screen for the backgrounds, wire work for the jumps. We can control everything. Jackie studied the storyboards in silence. His finger traced the jump sequence, rooftop to rooftop, a leap across empty space, the kind of moment that defines an action sequence. What if we did it for real? Jackie's voice was quiet, almost casual. The room went silent. For real. Mark's smile was uncertain. Jackie, that's a 12-story jump. Insurance won't even. In Bangkok, Jackie continued as if Mark hadn't spoken. I found a location. 2 buildings, 4-meter gap, real height, real danger, real cinema. The producer leaned forward. Jackie, you're 50 years old. We have stunt doubles for this. We have technology. We have a choice. Jackie interrupted. His eyes were still on the storyboards. We can make another action movie that looks like every other action movie, or we can make something real. Mark exchanged glances with the producer. They both knew Jackie's reputation, knew that when he committed to something, nothing short of physics could stop him. Let me see the location, Mark finally said, but I'm not promising anything. What Mark didn't know was that Jackie had already decided. The question wasn't whether he would do the jump. The question was whether the production would film it. The preparation. The next 2 weeks are a masterclass in controlled chaos. The insurance company sends 2 representatives, Patricia and James, mid-30s, professional, armed with clipboards and a list of prohibited activities that Jackie's proposal violates 17 different ways. Mr. Chan. Patricia begins during the first safety meeting. Our policy explicitly prohibits stunts involving falls from heights exceeding 3 stories without comprehensive safety systems. Jackie listens politely. What's comprehensive? Wire harnesses, airbags, safety nets, crash pads, a minimum of 3 redundant safety systems. Will any of those be visible on camera? Patricia hesitates. Well, yes, but in post-production. Then they change the stunt, Jackie says gently. They make it fake. I don't do fake. James leans forward. Mr. Chan, with respect, you're 50 years old. Your body doesn't heal like it did when you were 20. One bad landing, and I live with the consequences, Jackie finishes. I've been living with consequences my entire career. Every scar on my body is a consequence. Every broken bone is a consequence. I know the cost. The insurance reps exchange glances. They've dealt with difficult actors before. Egos, demands, tantrums. This is different. Jackie isn't being difficult. He's being honest. We'll need to document everything, Patricia finally says. Every risk assessment, every safety briefing, every decision point. If this goes wrong, the liability will be mine. Jackie interrupts. Put it in writing. I take full responsibility. Patricia makes notes. James looks out the window at the Bangkok skyline. Somewhere out there, a man is going to attempt something that violates every principle of modern stunt safety, and they're going to watch it happen. The crew preparation. The camera department spends 3 days mapping the shot. 3 cameras, one on a crane for the wide establishing angle, one handheld tracking Jackie's approach run, one locked off on the landing terrace, ready to capture impact. The crane operator is Thai, Sumchai, 15 years of experience on international productions. He's filmed Tom Cruise, Jason Statham, Vin Diesel, all the actors who claim to do their own stunts. This is different, Sumchai says to his assistant while setting up the crane. Those guys do stunts with 3 safety cables. Jackie does stunts with, he pauses, with nothing, just skill. The handheld operator is Australian. She worked with Mark on his previous films. She's filmed explosions, car chases, fight sequences, but she's never filmed anyone attempting what Jackie's about to attempt. What's the protocol if he falls? Sarah asks during the camera meeting. Mark's face goes gray. We call an ambulance, and we pray it arrives in time. The sound department wants to know if they should mic Jackie for the jump. No, Jackie says firmly, sound will be added in post. I don't want anything on my body that changes my weight distribution. Every department understands, this isn't a movie stunt. This is a physics experiment where the subject is human. The Thai crew builds a mock-up of the landing terrace on ground level. Not for Jackie to practice, he refuses to practice. Every jump is unique, he explains. Practice creates false confidence. The mock-up is for the crew, so they understand sight lines, camera positions, what the moment will look like when it happens. Tom, the stunt coordinator, walks the mock-up with increasing concern. The planter box is still too close, he tells the art department. Move it another 6 inches. The art department moves it. Tom measures again. That's still only 18 inches of clearance. Jackie, that's not enough margin for error. Jackie looks at the measurement. It's enough. Enough for what? Enough to not hit it. Tom wants to scream, wants to shake Jackie, wants to make him understand that 18 inches of clearance on a 4-meter jump from 12 stories up is statistically insane. But Jackie has already moved on. He's checking the rooftop surface, looking for imperfections, loose concrete, oil stains that might affect traction. He finds a small crack, maybe 3 inches long. Fix this, he tells the production designer. They fix it with concrete patch. It takes 4 hours. The entire crew waits, because Jackie won't attempt the jump with a 3-inch crack in his launch surface. That's when Mark understands something crucial about Jackie Chan. He's not reckless, he's not careless, he's not trying to die. He's just operating at a level of precision that makes normal safety precautions irrelevant. The morning, March 18, 2003. Call time is 6 a.m. The crew arrives in darkness. The hotel rooftop is lit with work lights, casting harsh shadows across the concrete. Jackie arrives at 5:45 a.m. He's wearing the costume, dark pants, a light jacket, practical clothes that won't restrict movement. He goes immediately to the edge, stands there for 10 minutes, just looking. The city below is waking up, streetlights flickering off, vendors setting up fruit stands, a tuk-tuk driver washing his vehicle. Normal life, happening below. Unaware, Tom approaches with a cup of coffee. How are you feeling? Awake, Jackie answers. That's not what I meant. Jackie turns. His expression is calm. I know what you meant. I feel the same as I always feel before a stunt, which is alive. The crew begins their final checks. Cameras are tested. Batteries are charged. Memory cards are formatted. Radio communications are confirmed. The crane lifts Sumchai into position. From his vantage point, he can see both rooftops, the gap between them, the street far below. Camera 1 set. Sumchai's voice comes through the radio. Sarah positions herself with the handheld. She'll track Jackie's run from behind, then pan to follow his flight across the gap. Camera 2 set. The third camera operator, stationed on the landing terrace, does a final focus check. His camera is locked on a tripod, frame perfectly composed for the incoming jump. Camera 3 set. Mark stands near the video village, a cluster of monitors showing all 3 camera feeds. His hands are shaking. He hides them in his pockets. The insurance reps, Patricia and James, stand off to the side. Their clipboards are full. Their documentation is complete. Now they just have to watch. Jackie walks to his starting mark, 20 feet from the edge. He measured this distance 2 weeks ago, tested it yesterday, confirmed it this morning. 20 feet. Enough distance to build speed, not enough distance to overthink. He rolls his shoulders, shakes out his hands, breathes. Tom walks up to him one last time. Jackie, you don't have to do this. We can find another way. Jackie's response is quiet. This is the way. But why? Why risk everything for one shot? Jackie looks at Tom with something like pity. Because risk is the only thing that separates cinema from lies. Tom walks away. There's nothing left to say. The first attempt. Mark steps forward. His voice tries to sound confident. Cameras ready. 3 confirmations. Sound ready. Speed. All right. This is Jackie Chan rooftop sequence. Take 1. And action. The word hangs in the air for a moment. Then Jackie runs. His footsteps hit the rooftop in perfect rhythm. Not a sprint, a calculated acceleration. Each step building velocity, building momentum, building the force he'll need to clear 4 meters of empty space. 15 feet from the edge, 10 feet, 5 feet. Sarah tracks him with the handheld, her breathing synchronized with his steps. 3 feet from the edge, something changes. Jackie's angle. He's drifting left. Maybe 6 inches, maybe less. But at this speed, 6 inches is everything. Mark sees it on the monitor. The trajectory is wrong. If Jackie launches from that position, he'll clear the gap, but he'll land directly on the granite planter box. Cut. Mark's voice explodes across the rooftop. Sharp, urgent, commanding, but Jackie's foot is already leaving the rooftop. The point of no return. There's a concept in physics called the point of commitment. The instant when your momentum exceeds your ability to stop, when your body becomes a projectile, subject to gravity and trajectory, no longer subject to choice. Jackie crosses that point the moment his foot leaves the rooftop. He's airborne. 4 meters ahead, the terrace waits. Below, 12 stories of empty space wait. And directly in his landing path, the granite planter box waits. Jackie's brain processes information at superhuman speed. Not because he's special, because he's trained. 47 years of stunts have taught his nervous system to operate faster than thought. His eyes see the planter box. His body understands the trajectory. His mind calculates the correction. All of this happens in 1 second. The first second of a jump that will take 3 seconds total. Most people freeze when the plan breaks, when the carefully calculated stunt goes wrong. Fear overrides training. Panic replaces precision. Jackie does something different. He adjusts. In the air, his core rotates. Not a full spin. There isn't time and it would ruin the landing. A quarter turn, maybe 30 degrees, enough to shift his center of gravity, enough to change his landing point. The physics of this shouldn't work. Once you're airborne, your trajectory is set. Gravity takes over. You become a passenger in your own body. But Jackie has spent 5 decades learning what physics will tolerate. Small movements create large changes. A shift in his shoulders changes his rotation. A bend in his knee adjusts his angle. His arms extend, not for balance, but to create rotational momentum. Second 2 of the jump. He's halfway across the gap. The terrace is coming up fast. His trajectory has changed. Not much. Maybe 12 inches. Maybe less. But at this speed, 12 inches is the difference between a career-ending injury and survival. On the rooftop, the crew stands frozen. Mark's mouth is open, the word cut still hanging in his throat. Tom has stopped breathing. Sarah's camera is still rolling, tracking Jackie's flight on pure instinct. Patricia has dropped her clipboard. Second 3. Jackie's feet hit terrace. The landing. His left foot touches first. Concrete. Solid. Real. Then his right foot, 18 inches to the right of the granite planter box. The margin he calculated. The space he needed. The clearance that Tom said was impossible. But momentum doesn't stop when your feet touch ground, not at this speed. Jackie's body is still traveling forward at 23 miles per hour. He does what he's been trained to do since he was 8 years old. He converts momentum into motion, turns impact into roll. His feet touch, his legs bend, his body drops, his shoulder hits the terrace, and he's rolling. Professional. Controlled. Dissipating force across muscle and bone instead of letting it concentrate in joints. The roll carries him across the terrace. 6 feet. 8 feet. His shoulder hits the glass wall behind the landing zone. Stop. Complete stop. Silence. The kind of silence that happens when 30 people witness something that defies their understanding of possible. The crane operator forgets to cut camera. Sarah's handheld is still rolling, pointed at empty air where Jackie was a moment ago. The locked-off camera on the terrace has captured everything. The landing, the roll, the impact, all in perfect focus. Jackie stands up, brushes dust off his jacket, looks back across the gap he just cleared. His expression is neutral, professional, like he just completed a routine shot. But his hands are shaking. The aftermath. The crew erupts, not in celebration, in disbelief. Tom is the first to reach the terrace. He has to take the stairs. The elevator is too slow. By the time he arrives, he's breathing hard. He walks to where Jackie landed, looks at the scuff marks on the concrete, measures the distance from the landing point to the planter box. 18 inches, Tom says quietly. You adjusted 18 inches, in midair. Jackie doesn't respond. He's already walking to the monitor to check playback. Mark joins him. His hands have stopped shaking. Now they just feel numb. On the monitor, the footage shows everything. The run, the launch, the drift left, Mark's cut call, Jackie's foot leaving the rooftop, the mid-air adjustment, the landing, the roll, one continuous shot, no cuts, no tricks, no safety nets, just physics, precision, and 47 years of experience compressed into 3 seconds. That's the take, Jackie says. Mark starts to respond. Wants to say they need to review safety protocols, wants to call medical, wants to do everything that production manuals say you're supposed to do when a stunt goes wrong. But he stops, because nothing went wrong. Everything went exactly how Jackie planned it, including the part where the director called cut, including the part where Jackie ignored the cut, including the part where he adjusted his trajectory in mid-air to avoid an obstacle that shouldn't have been avoidable. Sarah approaches with her camera still on her shoulder. Jackie, can I ask you something? Of course. When Mark called cut, did you hear him? Jackie's answer is simple. Yes. Then why didn't you stop? Because stopping was more dangerous than continuing. The answer hangs in the air. Everyone processes it differently. For Mark, it's a lesson in directing. Some moments can't be controlled, can't be cut, can only be survived. For Tom, it's a reminder that Jackie operates on a different frequency than normal stunt performers. His risk calculations include variables that don't exist in safety manuals. For Sarah, it's proof that some people make the impossible possible by simply refusing to accept the impossible. The technical debrief. 2 hours later, the production team gathers in a conference room. The footage plays on a large screen, frame-by-frame analysis of the jump. Tom has his laptop connected to the display. He's frozen the video at the moment Jackie's foot leaves the rooftop. Look at his angle, Tom explains, drawing lines on the screen with a digital pen. He's 6 inches left of optimal trajectory. That puts his landing zone directly on the planter box. He advances 1 frame. Here, he's realized the problem. You can see it in his eye line. He's looking at the landing zone, calculating. Another frame. Here's where it gets impossible. He's already airborne. Physics says his trajectory is set. But watch what happens next. Tom plays the next 30 frames in slow motion. Jackie's body rotates. Subtle, precise, a movement that shouldn't create enough force to change trajectory. But it does. The rotation shifts his center of gravity by approximately 4 inches, Tom explains. That 4-inch shift changes his landing point by 12 inches. Add in the 6-inch correction he needed, and somehow the math works. Mark leans forward. How is that possible? It shouldn't be, Tom admits. The amount of force required to change trajectory mid-air at that velocity, it's beyond what normal human physiology should allow. But Jackie's been training his core muscles for 50 years. His body can generate rotational force that most people can't even conceive of. Patricia, the insurance rep, raises her hand. Can we get this in writing? That this stunt was successful due to extraordinary physical capability, not due to negligence? I'll write the report, Tom says, but I'm also going to recommend that this never be attempted again, by anyone, including Jackie. Jackie, who's been sitting quietly in the back of the room, speaks up. I agree. Everyone turns. What? Mark sounds surprised. I agree this stunt should never be attempted again, Jackie repeats, because it can't be repeated. Every variable was specific to that moment, that location, that day, those conditions. Trying to repeat it would be stupid. Tom nods slowly. That's the first time I've heard you say a stunt shouldn't be attempted. I didn't say it shouldn't be attempted, Jackie corrects. I said it shouldn't be repeated. Every stunt is unique. What worked today might kill you tomorrow. The room falls silent. This is wisdom that can only come from someone who survived what shouldn't be survived. The real cost. That evening, Jackie sits alone in his hotel room. His body is starting to feel the landing. His left ankle is swollen. His shoulder is bruised where he hit the glass wall. His hands have rope burn from grabbing the terrace edge during the roll. These are the costs that don't show up on insurance forms, the physical toll that accumulates over decades. Every stunt takes something. Sometimes it's obvious, a broken bone, a scar. Sometimes it's invisible, cartilage damage, nerve issues, chronic pain. Jackie knows the cost, has always known the cost. There's a knock on the door. Mark enters, carrying 2 bottles of water and a look of concern. How are you feeling? Tired, Jackie admits. But that's normal. Mark sits in the chair opposite. Can I ask you something? And will you give me an honest answer? I always give honest answers. Was it worth it? The risk, the danger, all of it. Was that 3-second jump worth potentially ending your career? Jackie doesn't answer immediately. He looks out the window at Bangkok's evening skyline. Lights coming on as darkness falls. The city transitioning from day to night, unaware that something significant happened 12 stories up. When I was 8 years old, Jackie finally says, I was sent to the Peking Opera School. Do you know what they taught us? Mark shakes his head. They taught us that the audience can tell the difference between real and fake, not consciously, but somewhere deep in their minds they know. When a performer is really in danger, really defying gravity, really risking everything, the audience feels it, and that feeling is what makes cinema immortal. He turns from the window. So yes, it was worth it, because somewhere, someone will watch that jump and feel something real, something that can't be faked with wires or green screen or computer graphics. They'll feel the truth of it, and that truth will stay with them. Mark considers this. But what if you'd missed? What if the adjustment didn't work? Then I would have paid the price, but the stunt would still be real. Failure is real. Pain is real. That's what audiences respond to. Even if it kills you. Jackie's smile is sad, especially if it kills you. But I don't plan on dying. I plan on making sure every stunt is survivable. There's a difference. Mark stands to leave. At the door, he pauses. Jackie, I've worked with a lot of action stars. Tom Cruise, Jason Statham, Keanu Reeves. All talented, all dedicated. But you're different. How? They do stunts to prove they're brave. You do stunts to prove they're possible. After Mark leaves, Jackie sits in the quiet darkness. His body hurts. His ankle throbs, his shoulder aches, but his mind is already moving forward, already planning the next sequence, already calculating the next impossible moment, because that's who he is, not because he's fearless, because he understands that fear is just information, and information can be used,